the children of St Mary's, and good morning to the children of St Helens. It's Mr Spence here. I'm not wearing a shirt and tie. I'm not in school, actually I'm at home, and that's because it's just the end of half term, and I wanted to record a special welcome back to you at the beginning of term 2 so that you get to see it on your first day. I hope you've had a really great half term. I hope you managed to get a bit of a rest, maybe see some friends, see some family. Maybe some of you got away, some of you might have stayed at home, but I hope whatever you did, you had a great time. And I hope that you're looking forward to the beginning of term 2, because I certainly am. We had such a great term last term. You might remember back in September when you started in your new class, you came back to school and things were a bit different, weren't they? We made sure that our classes were separate from the other classes. We called them our bubbles. We tried to make sure that we played separately. And we walked around the school at different times so we didn't bump into each other. And that was because we're trying to keep each other safe from the virus that's around. The other thing that we did a lot of last term was washing our hands. In fact, we got really good at that. And so I wanted just to remind you at the beginning of this new term that when your teacher asks you to wash your hands, and they'll ask you to do that quite a lot during the day, make sure you do it really well. I've got this little video I showed you, which I'm going to show you again now, because the government advice is that when we wash our hands, we do it for 20 seconds. And you can see from this video that that's quite a lot of time. And that time gives you the time to make sure you're washing in between your fingers, the backs of your hands, the fronts of your hands, make sure that you're really clean. And then that means that you keep yourself safe, but it also means you keep other people safe and the rest of the school safe, because we're touching things with clean hands rather than dirty hands. So that was my first thing I wanted to remind you about, and just say, be really good this term at making sure you're really hygienic and really great at keeping your hands clean and looking after yourself and others. The second thing I wanted to say is that when we came back in term 1, we were really impressed with how we came back to school. We'd had quite a long time at home, some of us, and actually quickly got back into school, back into the ways that we expect you to behave and the ways we expect you to learn. Put loads of effort into your learning. It's been great to see lots of things that you've been doing. And as we start term 2, I really want you to come back thinking, I'm going to put in my absolute best, not just today on Monday, but on the rest of the days this week and the rest of the days this term. Try and persevere when it gets tough. When you're learning something that's difficult, ask loads of questions to your teacher, talk to your friends about it, and try and really be determined to do the very best you can and make the best progress that you can. Take pride in your work and the things that you do, making sure your handwriting is the very best it can be. It's so great to be able to share like some work with your friends or teacher that you know is your best. And so today, before we start our new value of the term, which we're going to tell you about on Thursday, I thought we'd do something a little bit different. I saw an assembly just a few weeks ago that has been put together by the Church of England, and it's all about a word called resilience. And resilience means keeping going when things are tough. And I thought it was a really good theme for us to think about as we come back to school, because it's not always easy. It's not always easy for the children, certainly not always easy for the adults too. And yet resilience is about keeping going and overcoming things, even when we might fall over or we might get something wrong, not getting disheartened, but keeping going. So you're going to watch this assembly now. I hope you really enjoy it. It's got lots of different things to think about. And then at the end of the assembly, I'm going to give you a few reflection questions just to go away and think about with your class.
Hi guys, my name is Chris, and this is my friend Jessica.
Hi!
And I'm happy to welcome you to the 6th episode of Faith at Home in partnership with Oak National Academy.
Today we're going to be talking all about resilience. What is resilience, Chris?
Well, if you are resilient, it means that you can recover quickly from a difficulty.
Okay, I think I get it, but it's a big word and it seems like it has a big meaning too.
It's a bit of a tough one to explain. Let me see if I can show you what resilience means with a fun scientific experiment. Here we go.
Is that spaghetti?
Yes, it's very scientific spaghetti, Jessica. Now, let's take a look at this uncooked spaghetti. It looks pretty resilient, right? Like it can overcome a lot of difficulty. It doesn't wobble around, but let's see how resilient it really is. Let's do some tests.
I guess Guess it wasn't that resilient. That spaghetti doesn't look like it's recovering anytime soon.
Yeah, it doesn't seem so. But let's try again with a bit of cooked spaghetti.
Well, that doesn't look very tough or resilient at all. It's all wobbly.
But look, when we do the same test, it springs back. It's pretty resilient.
So I guess that shows that when we feel weak, a bit like wibbly wobbly spaghetti, it doesn't mean that we can't be strong, that we can't be resilient.
Exactly. When we feel small and wobbly, we can look to others to help us be strong and resilient. For example, Christians can look to God and He can give them the strength and the power to be resilient.
That's amazing. Well, I think I know what resilience is now. What do you guys think resilience is? And what does it mean to you? We've asked some students from Avanti House Primary School, a Hindu school in London, to tell us what they think it means.
Resilience to me means to keep trying.
And getting back up when I've been knocked down.
Not letting your difficulties get in your way and fighting for what you want to achieve in life.
Resilience to me means bouncing back as quickly as possible.
Resilience is like being a rubber plant, stretchable and flexible when needed, quickly bouncing back to normal.
The main step in becoming resilient is learning to let go mentally. If you learn to let go mentally, it makes it easier to concentrate on the task that has been set.
Resilience means persevering and never giving up.
You may find something tough or someone hurts you, but you don't let that get you down.
Keep on going, always believe in yourself.
Yes, you guys are all so amazing, and you know so much about what resilience means.
We've got someone else on our show today to talk to us about what resilience means to them. Pradip Gujar is here to share with us now.
Resilience for me is something that comes from deep within our heart. In the Hindu Vaishnav tradition, and especially in the 5,000-year-old Bhagavad Gita, the word for faith in God is Shraddha. Sitting within this word is the word Rid, which means heart. Faith is therefore where we place our heart. So here's how I think of resilience. Resilience can only be as strong as that place where we have given our heart. If we have given our heart at the feet of God, who is the source of all strength, then imagine the resilience we can experience to bounce back and to battle the reversals and accept both the joys and pains of life as the grace of God in our life. In the pages of the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna reminds us that He is seated in our heart as a dear friend, and He declares, I preserve what you have and I carry what you lack. Faith in God, therefore, makes resilience a heartfelt experience.
Wow, thank you so much for that, Pradeep.
It's so amazing to talk to people about resilience. It's a word that we seem to hear a lot, but it only becomes real when we hear about other people's experiences and understandings of it.
That is so true, Jessica. And there are loads of ways to express your understanding of resilience. For example, Fishy Music have written this song called Stronger, which really shows what resilience is all about.
What do you do when you trip up? What do you do when you stumble? Do you stay down on the ground or get back on your feet again? What do you do when you fall down? What do you do when you tumble? Do you stay down on the ground or get back on your feet again? Stronger, you'll be stronger, stronger, you'll be stronger. Every time you get back up.
You stay down on the ground or get back on your feet again. Oh, what a catchy song!
Yeah, it's pretty catchy. And now we've definitely covered what resilience is all about. But how can we be resilient?
Oh yeah, there's no point in just singing or talking about it. How can I actually be resilient? Help, Chris! I don't want to just snap like uncooked spaghetti.
Let's ask our friends at Heartsmart.
Hello and welcome to Boris's Shed. We love having you here, don't we, Boris?
We love it.
We absolutely love it. What have you been up to today, Boris?
Well, today I have been learning lots of new things.
Oh yeah? What's that?
My brain is always adapting. I can't stop thinking and doing new things.
That's so good. You know, our brains, although our brains are different from robot brains, our brains are always growing and adapting. Just like a muscle, the more we work it, the more they begin to grow. Isn't that amazing, Boris?
Yes, it is amazing what you can do.
It really is.
But Dave, there is one thing I think that I can never do.
Oh, what's that, Boris?
I'm a bit embarrassed to say.
Oh, you can tell us.
Jigsaw puzzles.
Oh, Boris, why do you think you can't do jigsaw puzzles?
I've always thought I can't do them.
So interesting. It's so interesting how if we think we can't do something, we actually often give up and actually don't end up doing it. Isn't that right?
Yes, I have found that to be true.
See, one of the most important things that we can learn if we're going to be resilient, if we're going to keep trying to do something, is actually to believe, you know what, even though I'm finding this hard, even if it's jigsaw puzzles or maths or whether it's doing some form of exercise, even if we find it hard, the more we do it, the more that muscle begins to grow in our brain, and actually the easier it begins to become. And actually, that is what we call growth mindset. And robots and humans both have brains that are built for that. It means that even though we find something hard, we can keep pushing, and if we just keep pushing, we'll be able to do it. But the first thing we need to know is that actually, ultimately, we can do it. We just haven't done it yet, and that's what's different. See, for jigsaw puzzles, Boris, I'm sure you can do jigsaw puzzles. What do you guys think at home? Do you think Boris can do jigsaw puzzles? What do you think, Boris? Do you think you'd be able to give it a go?
You are so kind to say that. I feel encouraged to try.
That's so good. You know, resilience is such an important thing. And actually, one of the things that we need to have before we can try it in our head, we need to have hope in our heart. So may today you have hope, and may you be able to begin to see the things that you don't think are possible, that actually, if you just keep trying, you never know, those things might begin to open up. And I think, Boris, you and I should try and do a jigsaw puzzle right now. What do you think?
Okay, Dave, let's do it.
Wow, those guys really are great. I feel like I can be resilient now.
I think you can. I think I can. I think we all can. And if you ever feel like you need a bit of help from God, you could remember this verse from the Bible.
We are pressed on every side by troubles, but we are not crushed. We are perplexed, but not driven to despair. We are hunted down, but never abandoned by God. We get knocked down, but we are not destroyed.
Christians believe that even when you feel as wobbled about as a piece of cooked spaghetti, that God is the one that can give you the strength and the resilience so that when you're pressed, you're not crushed. When you're knocked down by life, you're never destroyed because He is with you.
We hope you've enjoyed our show about resilience today.
If you're a school leader and you've enjoyed today's episode, then we've got some great news for you.
Each week, alongside every Faith at Home film, there are a bunch of fantastic resources to download for schools to use. Go to the Faith at Home pages to find them all for every theme of the week.
Stay safe, guys. We'll see you next week.
Great. So I hope you enjoyed that. So my reflection questions for you today, these are things for you to talk about in your class. You could get them into your reflection book. Maybe someone could write them in there, your teacher, or maybe you could take it in turns to do that. Here are my reflection questions. Number one, what does resilience mean to you? So what does that word resilience mean? Number two, why do you think it's important to be resilient? Why do you think as we come back to school in term 2, it's going to be really important for us to be resilient at school? And then the third thing is, maybe a bit of personal reflection. What do you think? What do you find hard? And what do you think you're going to have to work hard to be resilient in? So what do you sometimes give up easily at when it becomes difficult? Maybe it could be to do with friendships. Maybe it could to do with the particular thing that you're learning. What do you find tricky, and what do you think you're going to need to be particularly resilient at this term? And I'm going to leave you with those questions. Have a brilliant day. Have a fantastic first week back, and I really look forward to seeing you around. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.